Welfare programs in Pennsylvania are in place to help those who are truly in need. Unfortunately, too many of the taxpayer dollars that fund these programs have been misused and fraud has been allowed to run rampant. New leadership in Harrisburg is working to change things for the better. Let's spend 5 minutes on welfare reform with State Representative Tarah Toohil. Representative, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Anthony.
Recently, the current administration removed over 100,000 recipients off of the welfare program by enacting old laws. What does this say about the current administration in relation to the previous administration?
Well, what the new administration's been doing, the new Department of Public Welfare officials, as well as Governor Corbett and the legislature, we've been working to trim down and cut the fat out of the Department of Public Welfare. Those 100,000, it was just in 2 months alone, 100,000 individuals were found who should not have been receiving benefits. They actually, a lot of them were getting medical benefits, and they were either deceased and the payments were still being paid to the providers. They were living out of state, or they were just people that purely did not qualify at all. So even just on an administrative check, they were able to find 100,000 individuals, get them off of the rolls, and cut spending there. And the problem is, under the Rendell administration, we have had such a growth in the Department of Public Welfare. It's over 40% of our budget. So with that growth, there's been so much reckless spending. So we're trying to cut back on that.
Now, one of the reforms that was put into place is drug testing.
Yes.
Who does this affect and how is it done?
Well, it's very important to have drug testing. It comes up all the time. Constituents come to me in the greater Hazleton area, and they're saying, you know, how unfair is it that there's drug dealers or people that are using the cash back system, because with these plastic access cards, you can actually get cash back. So people aren't using these for the staples in life. They're not buying diapers and food and medicine. What they're buying is, you know, they're allowed to take it and buy cigarettes, buy tobacco, and buy drugs with it and use that cash however they want to. Use it at the liquor store. So it's become a real problem, and the taxpayers are sick of it. They don't want to see their money going to waste that way. So what we've done, we've passed a bill through the House, and that's mandating drug testing.
What are some of the other reforms that were put into place, or what are some reforms that you would like to see put into place?
Well, the Department of Public Welfare and myself, I'm on the Welfare Policy Task Force. We've really been zoning in on these plastic EBT cards, the electronic benefit transfer cards. They're, you know, commonly referred to as an access card or an EBT. And, you know, my constituents are just angered by the fact that so much is given out for free, all these handouts all of the time, and that there is such waste. So that has been really, I would say, one of the biggest issues in our area, and it's been a top priority of mine to target the waste that's just taking place on these cards.
Do you feel that these reforms are working, and if so, how much is the state expected to save annually?
Well, it was estimated, and in many reports it was documented, that there was $500 million in waste, fraud, and abuse. With 40% of the budget, we're dramatically cutting back, and I think it's even unknown at this point how much real savings there is going to be. But we are cutting back and working hard on it.
All right. And finally, how much of a role does welfare reform go into controlling state spending?
Well, since it's 40% of the budget, I mean, that's a lot of money, and that money that's being wasted on going to people that really aren't truly needy, and this lack of accountability and all of this waste, all of that money, that could be going to education, that could be going to our seniors. So there's a lot of money, and we're trying to cut back, see how much of the money is actually being misspent, and divert that spending into other areas that really need it.
All right. Well, thank you for explaining this to us, and hopefully you see more reforms in the future.
Thank you so much.
If you have comments or questions about this or any other legislative topic, Representative Toohil's contact information will be on the screen in a few seconds. Thanks for spending 5 minutes with State Representative Tarah Toohil.